Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a review I've been waiting to make for a very long time. These are the Rapido Metra F40PHM-2 and -3s, the lovingly called Winnebagos from the Chicagoland area. Very excited to talk about these today. I have one, as you can see, in each of the three paint schemes offered in this run. The 213 is the village of Franklin Park, and the 212 is the village of Buffalo Grove, so a little bit of additional spice on those. And of course, we have the CB&Q heritage scheme on the left, number 211, that we'll take a look at as well. Before we get into the review, do me a favor and subscribe if you're new or if you find yourself coming back anyways. Really appreciate it. Helps to grow the channel, of course, and to make me a couple dollars, so thank you very much. Like the video if you enjoyed as well or just want to help out the algorithm, and drop me a comment if you were able to pick one of these up yourself, or if you have any questions, be happy to answer those for you, or if you just want to chat, love talking with you guys. But let's go ahead and get started. For unboxing purposes, I've selected that we'll just unbox number 213 up at the top there in the blue scheme, because I've seen so many videos of the other ones being unboxed already, to show you a different perspective. Of course, we'll take a look at all three of them individually and talk about all the detail differences between the three. But let's go ahead and get started. A couple things to point out: the box art is not correct for this locomotive. It doesn't have any of the Village of Franklin Park markings, and you'll see none of the text calls that out either on this locomotive or 212, the Village of Buffalo Grove. I have also already taken off the plastic sleeve here that was around the entire locomotive. That's been coming around the boxes on more modern Rapido locomotives. I'll give you a quick look at the box. This is the same for both the F40PHM-2s and the F40PHM-3s, which were rebuilds by Progress Rail. So all of these will say PHM-2 and none of them say -3. Nothing on the back side, just a little warning label on the side there. First up, on the inside, we do have the operator's manual here. There's all the locomotive numbers that Metra purchased these from. Here's a quick look at the DCC and sound function list that we'll take a look at as well. You'll notice there's a few missing functions there between 23 through 28. So we'll look at those as well. Hopefully they don't get copyright striked, so I can keep them in here. Here is the exploded parts diagram. So you can tell there's a ton of parts on this locomotive. The backside of that has them all spelled out. Each comes with the Burlington sticker here, so I have 211 as well that we'll take a look at, as well as two other stickers that we have seen before as well. Some nice foam on top. Nothing in the little secret pocket above the locomotive. It is very tight in here, and we do have some nice foam protectors on each side of the locomotive, so those fall off. And of course, we now have the clamshell. The foam is very thick, and it is very nice. We do have some soft plastic stuck to the roof of the clamshell here, or almost stuck. And then we're presented with the locomotive. Just resetting a little bit, here is a quick 360 of number 213 before we take a look at all the details. And of course, we'll give you 360s and comparisons with the other two paint schemes. Each of these locomotives was $285 and were all purchased from Lombard Hobbies off of pre-orders. They are pretty well sold out on these and across the rest of the internet. They did come in a little bit more expensive than anticipated due to the tariff situation when they shipped, but not too bad. Additional about $15 increase over what was expected, so it's not awful. But still, very nice locomotive at a pretty decent price point, but a locomotive I'm very excited to show off. Now let's go ahead and take a look at all the details that make this model worth that price tag. There's a ton of LED lights on this model, so we'll start with those and go top down, so I hopefully don't miss anything. On the top left is our strobe light that's in an orange housing that operates while the model's moving, and it's only present on the -2 models. The -3 rebuilds got rid of that strobe light, so you won't see that on the 211 or 213 or anything else in the fade scheme. The right side light here in the red housing is your layover system alarm light. That is a system that allows the engine block to be shut down during the winter, and there is a heating component that keeps the engine from freezing. If that fails, that red light will come on. We have lit number boards on both sides here that come on when track power is applied. The two bulbs on here are different. The left side is a white gyrolight that comes on with F0 and the rest of the front headlights. And on the right side is a red emergency warning light you can turn on manually. The main headlight here is in the center, doesn't flash. The two bulbs on this side are red and serve as marker lights when the locomotive is moving in pusher service or back towards Union Station in Chicago. Heading out of Union Station, the bottom lights here are the ditch lights, which do flash when the horn is pressed. They look amazing on this model and function just like the real thing. The model is set up just like the real locomotives, where there is a master light switch that turns on the headlights, ditch lights, and the gyro light on the left, the white one, with the same F0 function press. As for the rest of the details on the front of the model, the horn is located up here just above the gyro lights. We've got metal grab irons, including in the center here between the two windows, as well as metal windshield wipers, which look very nice. More grab irons are found on the nose, as well as etched metal platforms here between the marker lights and the ditch lights on both sides. We've got the Rapido metal coupler with an uncoupling lever with white tipped ends on both sides. Same with the MU hoses in the center here coming through the plow, which have silver tipped ends as well. One other thing I want to point out, and I'll try to get you a better shot of the interior of the cab, which does have lit control stands, which look amazing. I didn't know those were going to be included until I saw them online. But there is a red box on the conductor side over here you can see through the windshield that is not present on number 211 or 212, the other two schemes in this run. So if you do know, please let me know. I've been trying to look it up and haven't found out myself, so would love to learn that as well. Moving to the conductor side of the locomotive, trying to give you a view into the cab. It's dark black plastic for the majority of it, so it's a little bit difficult to see. We'll try to give you another view when the lights are on in the locomotive. Details here on this side include gasketed windows, which look very nice. We do have a wind deflector and an armrest by the window there, which does slide in person, does not slide on the model. You'll see underneath the Metra logo here is the Village of Franklin Park designation. If you do live in the Chicagoland area, worth a shot, go ahead and look up your city name, village name. You may have a locomotive dedicated to your city. It may not be on an F40PHM-2 or 3, it may just be on an F40PH. It's a really cool feature to see that in person, so just something to keep in mind. We do have the door to the cab here on this side, and this box here does have a light in person. It is not lighted in the model, which is all right. We do have nice white colored grab irons on both sets of staircases here, which look very nice in person as well. Nice American flag and the number of the locomotive here on the box doors on this side. All very nice details. This blue Metra paint looks phenomenal. They absolutely nailed it. I was really hoping they would, and Rapido definitely did not disappoint in that department. On to the rest of the conductor side of the locomotive. Not a ton of printing detail. We do, of course, have the nice big Metra logo and the old RTA logo here in the rear. That white stripe on the sill is present on this model. We do have an engine hood door here with not a ton of detail, but some nice grab irons on both sides. The rear truck contains a reel chain here that's a little bit hard to see since it's black on black. We'll take a look at that in the underside view, as well as the speed recorder here on this first axle of the rear truck. Again, hard to see, but it's present there. It does limit the swivel ability of the truck just a little bit, so be careful with that. Don't try to move that back truck too much. Do, of course, have the fuel tank here with some nice red cap detail and fuel sight gauges, as well as the battery boxes here on this side. Moving to the top, the grates here over the radiator section are etched metal, and we do have dynamic brakes on this model. This grate and this grate for the blower housing in front are not etched metal and are just openings in the plastic. Onto the rear of the locomotive. The headlights here, while still LED, do not turn on normally when in reverse operation, because normally there's a passenger car right behind it. The only way to turn that on is to turn on switching mode on the locomotive. We've got both numbers printed on each side with some very nicely done white grab irons on both sides. This chain here is loose on all of my locomotives. It can be attached to the other side. It's typically only off during service or anytime the locomotive's in the shop. Metra spec these locomotives without rear handrails, so you'll see we just have a fully open deck in the rear of the locomotive, so make sure you don't fall off. Metal coupler again in the rear, additional grab irons just underneath that lip, as well as the same train line hose with silver tipped ends and white tipped uncoupling levers on both sides. Give you a quick look at the other side here. There is that window in the rear. You can't really see anything in it, and it's not lighted inside there. And we do have some sand filler hatches on both sides here in the upper half of the locomotive. Now on to the engineer side of the locomotive. Pretty much the same details here in the rear. Only difference is we do have air tanks visible on this side behind the fuel tank instead of those battery boxes. We don't have an engine hood door on this side. Same details here on the engineer side with the wind deflector as well as the armrest here under the window. Same printing with the Village of Franklin Park, road number, American flag, and grab irons near the front of the locomotive. Now on to the roof of the model. And the big detail that I'm sure many of you may have noticed is that the AC units, these two boxes here above the cab, are red on the model and not white as in all of the pre-order artwork and design artwork. These units did originally deliver or had red units installed, but were gradually replaced with white units. And now you'll see pretty much a gray unit because the white ones are so dirty, maybe even black in color. Hard to see here, but we saw on the other side, we do have an ice skate antenna just on the other side of that layover light there. Above the blower housing here, you can see lots of lift ring detail across the entire roof of the model. We've got fans inside of both the dynamic brake housing with etched metal covers on the radiators as well, and a single grab iron in white here on the rear of the model. Now on to the underside of the model. This is the engineer side. We'll flip and take a look at the conductor side as well, just because there's a few differences on that side. You'll notice we do have an exposed bearing here, but it is not rotating on this model. We do only have two that are exposed. It's not a big deal on this model because there's so many other neat features that I'd rather have instead of rotating bearing caps on every model. We do have sanding lines here in the front, which might be hard to see against the black, but some nice traction motor detail. The trucks are fairly open between the two, so it looks really nice. You can catch glimpses here of all of the piping in black here against the black underframe. Not super clear to see, but very visible in person. Moving towards the rear, you can see all of this air piping detail around the tanks right here. Looks very, very nice, as well as some additional fuel piping detail on the rear of the fuel tank. Another look at the rear trucks here. Sanding lines are in the rear once again on these trucks. Let's move on and take a look at the other side of the locomotive on the underside. So here is the underside on the conductor side of the locomotive. This is where you can see that chain here, that real chain just in the back of the locomotive, sort of sagging down there just a little bit. We do have even more piping here on this side going towards these battery boxes. You can see that recorder detail on this axle, as well as the recorder on the very first axle as well. So there's two of them here. I'm not exactly sure which one is the true speed recorder, but they're both present. So if you do know which one's which, please let me know. Lots of other piping detail continues all the way through the front here. You can see this nice step detail, which is just plastic at this point, as well as the plastic here in part of the plow molding, which does look very nice as well. Now let's go ahead and start taking a look at the other two schemes and then do some comparisons so I can show you the differences. So now for a couple of quick 360s. Here's number 211, the CB&Q Heritage Unit. One of my favorite details is that it does say F40 in the same font here that Burlington used on the side of the locomotive, and that's prototypical on the real unit. Very nice silver paint scheme with that red accents. The underframe here is also that nice darker gray color as well. So look at the rear, same detail there with the chain that's loose until you fix it, but loose out of the box there. So look at the other side. And coming back to the front, you can see a little more clearly those etched metal walkways there in white on the front. But there's that very nice Burlington route logo on the front, as well as that nice silver plow. And next up, here's a quick 360 of number 212, the Village of Buffalo Grove, in this gorgeous, more modern Metra fade scheme, which looks really nice. Very nice print job on this as well. You can definitely tell on the rear here, those colors going right over the etched metal grates look great. I do like how they also nailed the rear headlight on this. It is painted a different color in the outline, which looks nice. Very nice contrast there with the darker blue and white handrails on the rear. These two models are the F40PHM-3s. They do have a couple different features. I'll show you those differences real quickly. The main reason these locomotives were rebuilt was to add PTC, so you can see that present here on 212 and 211. That's not there, of course, on the original 213 F40PHM-2. We do have that rotary beacon here that was taken off of the rebuilds, and the ice skate antenna did switch sides on the rebuilds. Not a big deal there. Smaller details that changed were the plow, which now has grab irons on top of each of them. That's not present on 213. The plow is a little bit more curved on the rebuilds. That's not present on the original. But here is a quick 360 of all three models before we go ahead and move on over to the test track and show you all the DCC and sound functions, which sound so amazing on this model. So I'm excited, and I do hope you enjoy. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and take a look at number 213, the F40PHM-2 on the test track, just because it also has that rotary beacon that's not present on the -3 rebuilds. All of the horn functions and other sound functions are the same across all of them by default. You can change the horns, there are some others provided. Here is a quick look and reminder of the DCC and sound functions that are listed in the manual. Show you some tricks here with functions 4 and 5 to run it accurately, which sound amazing, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Currently, the track power is off. If I go ahead and turn it on, the number boards do come on, which are a little bit difficult to see. I have turned down the shades here, so hopefully the lights will shine a little better, but just wanted to keep the overall light quality a little good for this. Function 8 will turn on your locomotive. Function 0 functions as the master light switch out of the box. So if I go ahead and press that, you'll see we got the headlight, ditch lights, and that gyro light up top going all at once with one switch. At the same time, take you off the stand and show you the control lights. Look at those. I did not know that those were going to be present on this model, and that's just an awesome addition that Rapido's been putting into their products recently. Function 1 is your bell. That functions as long as you press it, and you can see the ditch lights do continue to flash for a little bit while longer after the bell stops. They do turn all the way off in between flashes, which isn't quite prototypical. They sort of go to a dim state during the real operation of these trains, so I'm hoping to change that through CVs at some point. Function 2 is the horn, which does also flash the ditch lights as well. That functions as long as you hold it down, and to me, sounds amazing. I think they nailed that one out of the box. There are a few different CVs you can change that horn to if you prefer. Function 3 is your flange squeal, which only happens while we're moving. We'll get to that. Now here are the unique operations program for the commuter locomotive. Function 4 turns your head end power, the power for the passenger cars, into standby, which you'll want to press before you go into run mode with function 5. Otherwise, as Rapido states, it functions just like a normal freight locomotive, where if you start up, the locomotive notches up at notch 1. In this case, we'll go ahead and turn on the head end power with function 4, and then go into run mode with function 5. So here's function 4. So this notches up to notch 3. And this is pretty much what you'll hear at a station. And then if we go ahead and hit function 5, we'll notch up into run mode. And you don't even have to move the locomotive to start that. If I go ahead and start us up though, we'll go ahead and move it. A little out of order in my reviews. Here's speed step 3, moved a little bit too far, but still very, very smooth at all speed steps on this locomotive. Notch up to 10. Turn up to 15 here. I've gone ahead and stopped the locomotive without pressing function 5. It will remain at this prime mover state until you press function 5, which I'll do right now. So that notches it back down to notch 3. And at this state, with function 4 active, you can move the throttle. I'm spinning it right now with no effect because it's in that standby mode. You'll notice if I switch to reverse, that rear light does not come on. To do that, I'll have to press function 12, which does turn on that rear light. Go ahead and turn that off here. Going a little bit out of order, but I'm really excited. In reverse, I'll go ahead and start us back up again with function 5, so we can move in reverse. Here is speed step 1 in reverse. Very slow controlled movement, but very smooth. Move up to 15 just to get her moving. And this is where you'll see those red marker lights on in pusher service. A little bit faint here in the light. So if I go ahead and stop us here and turn off function 5, you'll see those marker lights on. Go ahead and flip us back to forwards and take us out of standby mode by turning off function 4. So now we are finally back down to idle. And we'll go ahead and continue down the function list here. F7 dims your headlights, so that'll turn off the ditch lights and just dim that front light there. It also turns off the gyro light on the front there. If I bring that back up, everything resumes. F8, of course, is our startup and shutdown. F9 is the Doppler horn. F10 is your independent brake. That doesn't have a sound, but it does prohibit your locomotive from moving while it is active. F11 turns on our rotary beacon there. You can see the orange one. F12, like we just talked about, turns on switching mode. I'll turn it on here so you can see it from the front. Just keeps the front headlight on, turns off the gyro light and the ditch lights. Bring that back up. F13 will manually turn off that white gyro light. F14 is your red warning light, which I can turn on, and you might just be able to see that flash on next to the gyro light if I turn that off here. It's very faint, but present in the dark. F15 is a Metra station announcement. We'll take a look at that when the locomotive's off, just because it is a little quiet. It's a nice express train sound. F16 is your layover system alarm light. So I go ahead and turn that on. That flashes that red beacon on the right side. It is quite bright in person. It isn't picked up totally on camera, but very bright light there. Go ahead and turn that off. You'll hear the air compressor come on just like so, as well as that spitter valve occasionally while you're at idle. F17 is your dynamic brakes, which you can turn on while we're idle just like so. And I'll turn those off. F18 is your coupler clink. You have two distinct sounds when pressing and toggling that off. F19 will manually turn off your number boards if you prefer that. F20 is a little secret there, as you can hear. I believe that's in French, and it might mean caution, the doors are about to close, but in French. So that's not listed in the manual, but that is what function 20 does. Function 21 turns off that spitter valve that you just heard come on. F22 is the cab door sequence. I'll turn that off. I'll go ahead and shut us down real quick so we can take a look at the secret functions. So I'll turn off function 8 here. And that little alarm bell is not toggled. It does come on automatically. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. I do hope that they won't have to be cut because of copyright issues or anything. First up, as promised, here's function 15, the Metro station announcement.
Metra commuters, your attention please. The next Metra train approaching your station will be a Metra express train and will not stop.
That sound is just a little bit tinny, but it is the correct voice on the Metro station announcement. Sounds really nice. And now on to function 23, which is not listed in the manual.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyagers of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
So you get a little Star Trek for you. Here's function 24. Isn't that sweet? And 25.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me.
And 26 is just a little alarm bell. That's in the manual as 27 here, which is sort of a more warning alarm bell than function 26. That does continue for a little while longer after you toggle that off. And that was function 28, little Sweet Home Chicago playing. So that's all the functions here. We go ahead and give you a few run-bys of these, as well as some fake station scenes with the startup of the HEP units in and out of run mode with all 3 units. And these models do have Rapido's Mo power capacitors in them. So we'll take number 211 here as an example. I put it in reverse, so hopefully I can get you a close-up on those rear lights, those marker lights, as well as function 14, that red warning light. So if I go ahead and pull it off the track, I did turn the sound off here, but you do get a few good seconds of extra life here. So that does help you over some sort of dirty or imperfect electrical connections on your track, which is a nice feature to have. Well, I do hope you enjoyed that demo. Couple other things to note. All of the wheels were engaged according to my wheel gauge here. All the coupler heights were good with all the passenger cars, both the Rapido and Atlas cars that I tested. Didn't test with any freight cars because these will never pull any freight cars. I am so excited to have these. I did film about 20 minutes of demo footage there, just running the trains back and forth because I had so much fun. Got a little distracted, so I cut it down to the best parts here in the video. I do want to mention just a couple of flaws with the locomotives. Number 213 works fine for me. Couple things on 211. On the underside, these air tanks were just a little bit loose, had to pop them back in, and there was a piece that is broken off. It is in the case, so I'll just go ahead and glue that back in. Not a huge deal on that, not worth a full warranty repair. And the ice skate antenna on 212 here is a little bit loose, so I'll need to re-glue that in as well. And one of these etched metal panels here, you can see that front one is popping out just a little bit. So I'll just have to add another drop of glue there. Otherwise, perfect cosmetic condition on these locomotives, perfect functional condition on these locomotives. All the sounds are great. The only thing that is just a little bit tinny is that Metra station announcement, but everything else sounds amazing. They remind me of everything I heard growing up, so I'm so excited to have these. I'll spin these around as I keep talking about price again. From Lombard Hobbies, these were $285. MSRP before tariff situation was $350. I've seen other people buying them for a little more than I paid, so I would recommend please shop around, find a good deal on them, and pick one up from your local hobby shop if you can. I would absolutely recommend them. They absolutely nailed this. I'm just so excited. There's not too many words I have left in my repertoire to talk about them, but very excited. I've wanted these for so long after seeing the Metra trains run around at the Museum of Science and Industry as a kid. So I'm so excited to finally have these in person with this amazing level of detail on the cars. So would definitely recommend picking them up if you can. A lot of them were completely sold out for pre-orders, so recommend just call your hobby shop, send them an email, ask them very nicely if they have any still available, if you would like to go ahead and pick one up for yourself. But I'll go ahead and end off the review here. I could ramble on for hours about these. Just again, very excited. They do have some that are not in a village scheme like this Metra blue in the front that just say Metra and then a different road number. There's two of each with a village of or city of scheme, as well as an Operation Lifesaver scheme, number 214. They did not do number 210, and they said they will not. I've seen some custom work done already to make a 210, so be my guest if that's for you. And before I forget one final thing, let me try to get you a good interior cab shot of the inside here. There's a few different colors of plastic, trying to avoid the reflections here into the camera, but it looks really nice in person. There's a full dash, so looks like they really covered every detail that you can tell just from a quick glance on the locomotive from the outside, not being in the cab myself. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. This has been my favorite one to make on this channel so far, and it's been a long time coming. If you did make it this far, consider subscribing. Really appreciate it. Helps me to make a couple dollars and is completely free to you, so thank you very much. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, and drop me a comment if you're as excited as I am on these locomotives, or if you managed to grab one for yourself. Or of course, if you have any questions or just want to chat, love going through those with you guys. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.